My beloved child, stop scrolling and remain here for just a moment, because what you are about to hear was not placed before you by accident. Something has been waiting for you in the silence between your questions, in the space between your prayers, and in those quiet seconds when you wondered whether heaven had heard the words you could not speak aloud. Do not leave yet. There is something urgent that must reach your heart before another day passes, and the reason you found this message now is more important than you realize. You may have believed that nothing was changing, that your waiting had become invisible, and that the door you kept hoping would open had somehow forgotten your name. But heaven has not forgotten you. In fact, something has already begun moving in your direction, and the first sign of it may appear sooner than you expected. Pause here and listen carefully, because this message is not arriving to frighten you. It is arriving to prepare you. For a long time, you have been standing at the edge of a chapter you could not yet see. You felt it in your spirit before you could explain it. Certain conversations began feeling different. Familiar places no longer gave you the same comfort. People you once understood suddenly became difficult to read. Even your dreams may have carried a strange sense of movement, as though your soul was packing its bags before your life had received the announcement. You thought you were becoming restless, but what you were feeling was preparation. Something inside you was being awakened because the season around you was beginning to shift. There is a reason you have been more emotional lately. There is a reason memories have returned without warning. There is a reason you have been thinking about decisions you made years ago, words you never said, and paths you almost chose. These thoughts are not returning to trap you in the past. They are returning because your heart is being cleared of unfinished weight. Before a new door can fully open, certain old echoes must lose their power over you. Heaven is not asking you to relive what hurt. Heaven is showing you that what once controlled your emotions no longer has authority over your future. Stay here, because the next part is where this becomes personal. There is something you have been carrying that no one around you completely understands. You have smiled while your heart was tired. You have continued helping others while secretly wondering who would notice that you needed support too. You have been strong for so long that people began assuming strength came easily to you. They did not see the nights when your thoughts became heavy. They did not hear the private questions you asked when everyone else was asleep. They did not know how many times you almost gave up on an expectation, not because you lacked faith, but because waiting without clarity had exhausted you. Yet every time you thought you had reached your limit, something small kept you going. A sentence appeared at the right time. A memory of your own resilience rose inside you. A quiet sense whispered that the story was not over. That whisper was not weakness. It was the part of you that still recognized the promise, even when your circumstances gave you no evidence. And now, my beloved child, the evidence is beginning to form. Do not rush away from these words. Something extraordinary is hidden inside what seemed like a delay. You have been looking at the delay as though it were empty time, but heaven has been using it as construction time. What you could not see was being arranged beyond your reach. A conversation needed to happen without you. A person needed to understand something they had been resisting. An opportunity needed to mature before it could carry the weight of your future. A truth needed to be revealed before you stepped into a place where confusion could no longer follow you. You asked why it had to take so long. You wondered why others seemed to receive quickly what you had been praying for deeply. But your journey was never being compared to theirs. Your path required a different kind of preparation because what is coming is not designed only to impress you for a moment. It is meant to change how you see yourself, how you choose, how you love, and how you walk forward. A temporary answer would not have been enough. You were being prepared for something that could remain. There is also a hidden reason certain people became distant. You blamed yourself for some of those changes. You replayed conversations and wondered whether you had said too much, cared too deeply, or trusted too openly. But not every distance was rejection. Some distance was protection. Some connections could not accompany you into the next part of your life without disturbing the peace you are about to receive. Heaven did not remove your value from their eyes. Heaven removed your dependence on their approval. That is why you began seeing certain patterns more clearly. You noticed who celebrated you and who only tolerated your growth. You noticed who contacted you when they needed comfort but disappeared when you needed understanding. You noticed who encouraged your dreams and who quietly planted doubt inside them. These realizations were painful, but they were necessary. You could not enter your next season carrying confusion disguised as loyalty. Listen closely, because this is one of the urgent truths you were meant to hear today. You are not losing everything. You are being separated from what can no longer hold the person you are becoming. The emptiness you feel in some areas is not proof that your life is falling apart. It is proof that space is being created. And what will fill that space will not resemble what left it. Something is waiting for you beyond the decision you have been afraid to make. You know which decision this is. It has returned to your mind many times. You have delayed it because you wanted one more sign, one more confirmation, one more reason to trust yourself. But the deeper truth is that part of you already knows. You are not confused about what drains you. You are not confused about what continually steals your peace. You are not confused about the place where you keep shrinking to make others comfortable. The urgency is not about forcing you to move recklessly. It is about reminding you that remaining stuck is also a choice. Heaven is inviting you to stop abandoning your own inner truth simply because change feels unfamiliar. You have asked for a new beginning, but every new beginning requires a goodbye to an old pattern. You cannot keep asking for peace while returning to the same source of chaos. You cannot keep asking for confidence while speaking to yourself with the voice of those who doubted you. You cannot keep asking for expansion while hiding inside the limits others placed around you. This is the moment to remember who you were before disappointment taught you to expect less. There was a version of you who believed possibilities could arrive without permission. There was a version of you who felt excited about tomorrow. That version has not disappeared. It has been resting beneath survival. And now it is beginning to rise. Do not leave, because another revelation is unfolding. There is a person connected to your story who has been thinking more deeply than they have admitted. This may be someone you know well, someone who became distant, or someone whose presence is not yet fully understood. They have been confronting a truth about you that they could no longer ignore. Your absence, your silence, or your changed energy has made them realize something your words could not teach them. They thought they had more time. They assumed your kindness would always remain available in the same way. They believed they could delay honesty and still return whenever they were ready. But something shifted. They sensed that you were no longer waiting in the same emotional place. They felt the difference, even if you never announced it. Your healing changed the atmosphere around the connection. Now they are being forced to ask themselves whether they truly understood your value when they had easy access to your heart. This does not automatically mean they will return exactly as you imagined. The greater revelation is that your worth is becoming undeniable, first to you and then to those who once overlooked it. The lesson was never about making someone regret losing you. The lesson was about ensuring that you never lose yourself again while trying to be chosen. There is a conversation forming, but before it arrives, you must be ready to hear more than the words. You must listen to the consistency behind them. You must notice whether actions carry the same sincerity as promises. You have entered a season where beautiful language alone will no longer convince you. Your spirit has become too discerning for that. You are learning that real love creates clarity, real respect creates safety, and real intention does not leave you constantly guessing. Something huge is waiting near the other side of this understanding. It may first appear as a small opportunity, an unexpected message, a sudden invitation, or a change in plans. Do not dismiss what arrives simply because it looks ordinary at first. Some of heaven's greatest redirections begin quietly. A simple conversation can open a door. A delayed meeting can lead to a new connection. A change you did not want can place you exactly where you needed to be. You have been looking for a dramatic sign, but the sign may come disguised as peace. Pay attention to what no longer feels forced. Pay attention to the path that gives you room to breathe. Pay attention to the idea that keeps returning with calmness rather than pressure. Not every divine movement arrives with noise. Sometimes the clearest direction comes as a quiet certainty that remains after fear has finished speaking. My beloved child, there is another reason this message carried urgency. You have been close to giving up on something that is not finished. Perhaps it is a dream you stopped mentioning because people did not understand it. Perhaps it is a goal you paused because progress seemed too slow. Perhaps it is your belief in love, restoration, purpose, or personal change. You told yourself you were being realistic, but deep inside, you were protecting yourself from the pain of hoping again. Heaven is not asking you to return to blind expectation. Heaven is asking you to return with wisdom. You are not the same person who began this journey. You now recognize warning signs sooner. You understand your boundaries more clearly. You have learned how to walk away from what dishonors your peace. The dream may still be true even though your original method was not. The promise may still be alive even though the path has changed. The closed door was not always the end of the dream. Sometimes it was the end of one route. You kept staring at the locked entrance because you believed it was the only way forward. But another path has been developing where you could not see it. Soon, you may understand why the original door refused to open. What felt like denial may reveal itself as precise redirection. Think about how many times you asked for something and later became grateful that it did not happen exactly as requested. You could not see the full picture then. You only saw the pain of not receiving. But time showed you what the delay protected you from. The same wisdom is working now. There are details being considered that your current vision cannot yet reach. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. Let those words settle. You are being positioned emotionally, spiritually, and practically. Your patience is no longer passive. It is becoming power. Your silence is no longer emptiness. It is becoming clarity. Your solitude is no longer proof that you are forgotten. It is becoming the place where your identity is strengthened without outside noise. And there is something else you must know. The version of you who enters the next chapter cannot keep apologizing for existing fully. You have spent too much time reducing your needs, your voice, and your dreams so that no one would call you difficult. You accepted less because you were afraid that asking for more would make you ungrateful. But gratitude does not require self-neglect. Humility does not require invisibility. Kindness does not require allowing others to repeatedly cross your boundaries. The next chapter will ask you to stand differently. You will need to speak clearly when something does not align. You will need to stop explaining your intuition to people committed to misunderstanding it. You will need to trust the peace that arrives when you finally choose what is healthy. Stay till the end, because the most important part of this message has not yet been revealed. There is a hidden connection between the hardship you recently experienced and the opportunity that is approaching. At first, they may seem unrelated. One looked like a loss. The other will look like an opening. But the loss taught you the exact wisdom needed to recognize the opening. Without that disappointment, you might have entered the opportunity with the wrong expectations. Without that betrayal, you might have ignored the character of the people involved. Without that season of waiting, you might have accepted the first available option instead of the right one. Your pain did not make the opportunity happen, but it gave you the discernment to handle it. You are about to notice how many pieces have been connecting quietly. A skill you learned casually. A relationship that introduced you to a new idea. A place you visited unexpectedly. A conversation you almost ignored. These fragments have been forming a pattern, and soon the pattern will become visible. There is a moment ahead when you will look back and realize that nothing was as random as it seemed. Even the seasons when you felt lost were teaching you how to recognize direction. Even the days when you felt invisible were teaching you how to stop living for applause. Even the silence was training your ears to hear what noise had covered. But before that moment arrives, heaven is asking you to release one final burden, the belief that you are behind. You are not behind. You are not too late. Your story has not missed its appointed turning point. You have been measuring your life using timelines that were never designed for you. You looked at the age, success, relationships, and progress of others and used their lives as evidence against your own. But you never saw the full truth of their journey. You compared your hidden preparation to their visible moment. Your life is not late. It is becoming ready. There are blessings that arrive quickly and blessings that require the receiver to grow strong enough to protect them. You were not only waiting for the blessing. The blessing was waiting for a version of you who would no longer hand it over to fear, insecurity, or the wrong people. You are becoming that version now. Something has already changed inside you. You may not have named it yet, but you can feel it. You are less willing to chase what runs from you. Less willing to argue for your value. Less willing to remain in rooms where your spirit feels small. This is not coldness. It is maturity. It is the sacred understanding that peace is too valuable to trade for temporary attention. And because you are changing, your surroundings will begin responding. Some people will come closer. Others will become uncomfortable. New opportunities will recognize what old environments ignored. Do not be surprised when what once felt impossible suddenly begins unfolding with unusual ease. That ease will not mean you avoided effort. It will mean alignment has replaced resistance. But there is one thing you must not do when the door begins to open. Do not talk yourself out of entering. Do not assume it is too good for you. Do not sabotage the answer because struggle became familiar. Sometimes people pray for change, then distrust it when it arrives peacefully. You have lived in uncertainty for so long that calm may initially feel suspicious. Let yourself receive without searching for a hidden reason it must disappear. The urgent message is this: prepare your heart to receive what you once believed was impossible. Not because every wish will appear overnight. Not because life will never challenge you again. But because a specific cycle is ending. The repeated pattern of almost, nearly, and not yet is reaching a turning point. You are being invited into a new response, and your response will determine whether you recognize the opening. When the opportunity appears, fear may speak first. It may remind you of everything that failed before. It may ask what happens if you trust again and become disappointed. But wisdom will speak more quietly. Wisdom will say, this is not the same situation, and you are not the same person. Listen for that voice. There is a detail connected to your next step that you have not yet noticed. It may involve a name, a date, a location, or a repeated symbol that has appeared around you more than once. You dismissed it because you thought it was coincidence. But soon, the same detail may appear again in a way that is impossible for your heart to ignore. When it happens, remember this message. Do not immediately rush into action. Pause. Observe. Ask what the moment is revealing. The sign will not be permission to abandon wisdom. It will be an invitation to pay attention. You may receive news that changes the direction of your week. A person may finally express what they have been holding back. An answer may arrive from a place you stopped checking. Something you thought was closed may reopen, but it will return with different conditions. This is where your growth will be tested. Will you accept the old situation merely because it returned, or will you examine whether it has truly changed? Not everything that comes back is meant to stay. Some things return only to show you that you have outgrown them. Other things return because both you and the situation have been transformed. Your peace will help you know the difference. Do not decide based on nostalgia alone. Do not confuse familiarity with destiny. Ask whether the returning opportunity honors the person you are now. Ask whether it brings clarity instead of confusion. Ask whether you can enter without abandoning your boundaries. The answer will become clear, but only after one final truth is revealed. This truth concerns the prayer you believed had gone unanswered. You thought heaven had remained silent because you did not receive what you requested. But the answer was not absent. It was unfolding in a form you did not recognize. The people removed, the plans interrupted, the restless feeling in your spirit, the sudden desire to change, the deep fatigue with repeating old cycles, these were all parts of the answer. The prayer was not only changing your circumstances. It was changing your capacity. You asked for more, and heaven began removing the habits that kept you connected to less. You asked for love, and you were shown where you kept accepting inconsistency. You asked for purpose, and you became uncomfortable in places where your gifts remained unused. You asked for peace, and the noise around you became impossible to tolerate. This is why the last season felt intense. Your prayer was working in areas you did not expect. And now, my beloved child, something is approaching that will reveal why you had to become so discerning. It will look familiar at first, but there will be one difference. One small detail that changes everything. Most people around you may not notice it. They may tell you it is ordinary. They may ask why you are emotional about it. But your spirit will recognize that this is the moment the waiting was preparing you for. Do not leave this moment too quickly. The next step is connected to a truth someone has not yet told you. A truth that has been held back because the timing was not right. A truth that could explain the distance, the silence, and the sudden shift you have been sensing. The person connected to this truth has been trying to find the courage to speak. They have rehearsed the words privately. They have imagined your reaction. They have delayed because what they need to reveal may change the way you understand everything that happened.